Good morning, guys, from sunny, lovely Somerset. Me and Nicola are sat here in an Airbnb. Look at that view over there. It's absolutely wonderful. A couple of horses in the background. Nicola over there. I've just been attacked and beaten down by a baby puppy. A baby puppy, which is even younger. Apparently called Cooper Chuma Birkenstocks. Either way, he's not in the video, unfortunately, but it's lovely to be talking about Manchester City again and football again, away from all the nonsense. It's lovely to be talking about Phil Foden and his repertoire of tricks last night. Absolutely lovely, lovely stuff. And of course, we're going to take a look at 5 things that we learned from that game, because there's loads and loads to talk about. Before I do that though, I want to play you this clip from the latest Hold the L show over on Super 6. Yes, I know this is already past, but I still think it's important to talk about.
Where's the morals anymore? Where's the competition? What's the point in playing in the Premier League if we're allowed to play in the Premier League? You know, what have you actually got to play for apart from a title? Because you don't need to play for Europe anymore. You can finish 15th in the league, and you're guaranteed as one of the founder members to be playing in this Super League. You get given £350 million a year. How's that fair to all of the other 14 teams in the Premier League, that you're going to have this massive, lump sum every season to just go out and buy and do whatever you want? The moral of all of this is just money. The rich get richer and the fans just get brushed aside like it's nothing. And I just don't know what the hell to think about any of it anymore. And, clubs are, removing themselves from European organisations, and we're not going to be in the Champions League and the Europa League anymore. And there's talk about how we won't even be allowed to compete in the Premier League. Like, that blows my mind.
Passionate, heartfelt and emotive words there, and I agree with every single one of them. I guess last night's game just showed exactly what we could potentially playing down if we go through with something like this. And even though obviously it has come down, and that video was recorded a couple of days ago on Monday morning, it's still very relevant. So go check out the full video over on Super 6, because it tells you what real fans think about a situation like that. Go and let them know what you think in the comments as well, and go and subscribe to Super 6 and give that video a like. But my opinion, my opinion, it would have been a devastation for football, and it would have changed it fundamentally. And games last night, with all that edge and all that excitement, they would have been played down lesser and lesser importance, and that's the kind of stuff we need to preserve. I also want to say thank you to a couple of patrons, my latest patrons, Elliot Wright and Andy Murphy. Guys, you are from Nicola, indeed, you are the lifeblood of this channel. Thank you so much for the support. Patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany if you want to help out a little bit. If not, of course, just a like and a video, a comment and a subscribe is more than I could possibly ever ask for, so thank you so much. But let's get on to 5 things that we learned. And once again, I just want to show you the view around here. Look at that, it's just so beautiful. Get outside, go and enjoy yourselves, go and get some fresh air after you watch this video. Maybe watch this video outside. I'm going to start initially with no concerns, and by that I mean no Premier League concerns, no alarms and no surprises, to quote Tom York and Radiohead. I wasn't one of the ones who was getting carried away or overly concerned by the defeats to Leeds and Chelsea, but Leeds particularly in the Premier League, I was never concerned, because I didn't really feel that we'd showed our full hand, and as soon as we did, we would be back to our substantial and incredible best, and last night vindicated that. Suddenly we're 11 points clear with only 6 games left to play, and I'm very confident. I am very, very confident. I don't think we should have ever really doubted this side. I think it was obvious that we'd made a couple of concessions to how we played, and that had affected Manchester City's style, and affected our conviction maybe, but I always felt that as soon as you took it seriously again and stopped taking calculated risks, we would be okay, and last night showed exactly that. The team were utterly on it. They were utterly professional, utterly focused, and obviously a couple of slips aside, which we'll get onto later, City were magnificent last night. They were genuinely really up for it, and they looked like they had something to prove as well, with the eyes of the world of Manchester City after this tumultuous few days, which threatened to rip apart the fabric of this football club. The players, you could tell that they had a point to prove that they are competitive, and I guarantee you Guardiola would have been sat in there in the dressing room saying, we've talked about how we want to play in competitive competitions, do not give him a reason to doubt that today. Go out there and show them exactly how competitive and how driven you are to win these trophies that have real consequence, and that is what we got from this Manchester City side, and it was impressive, it was dynamic, it was brilliant, and I've got no concerns whatsoever that we are going to win a Premier League title, and I tell you what, it feels lovely to say that out loud. Second thing I want to talk about was Phil Foden. It's a pleasure. The title of this clip is called Phil's Learning, and by that I mean obviously he's learning, but to me it became immediately clear that Phil Foden is the Kirby of football world. And if you don't know what that reference is, a little pink Nintendo mascot who absorbs abilities from everything around him and takes in those abilities. Phil Foden is a superhero of a footballer. He is an absolute expert at absorbing all the information of people around him. And last night watching him, it kind of struck me a little bit of how he still is the same player from the academy side, but he's different. He's a different player. He's Phil Foden 2.0 already. He's improved, and I think this is largely because of what's around him. You can tell he absolutely loves training and working with elite professionals, and you can see bits of their game already in his style, and that makes me think, how good is he going to be in 5 years' time if he's already this good? Because he's already learning from the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. You can see the Kevin De Bruyne influence, I would say, is how he drives forward, how he has that insatiable desire to win, that incredible demand from his teammates to be exceptional, and also the drill, pass and the vision. The David Silva influence is clearly how he controls the ball on the half turn and can just move and drift and pirouette into space. We saw it last night with one of the dribbles in the area. It was so David Silva, so Spanish in his style, the way he controls and shifts his body weight to move past players. Leroy Sané, you can tell he's learned a little bit of that game, the way he kind of cuts inside and drives through the heart of the defence. The way he strikes a ball, tell me that hasn't come from watching Sergio Aguero, powerful, driven, aggressive, immediate. Phil Foden has the whole repertoire. He's such a complete footballer, and he's only 20 years old. He's learning and adapting his game, and that is exciting for us and terrifying for every single other team in the Premier League and those in Europe. The third thing I want to talk about was the majestic midfielders. That triumvirate, that midfield three was absolutely mesmeric last night. They were so good. They were so good because they had an incredibly difficult task given to them for a myriad of reasons. Initially, of course, we shot ourselves in the foot with that early goal to concede, but they had to set the tempo. Rodri, Bernardo, Gundogan, especially without possibly our best player in Kevin De Bruyne, they had to be alert, they had to be alive, and they had to be metronomic in their play. It's all the words: mesmeric, metronomic, myriad. I'm going through all these words from McInerney. Yeah, and a future marriage. Oh, yeah, that's what I'd say, because you're sat there. But either way, they were so good. They were so good last night, and I loved the fact that they were so calm on the ball. Like Rodri winning and crunching the tackles, recycling possession absolutely brilliantly. And if you watched last night, by the way, and I couldn't remember what the fingers it does that, it was Newton's cradle. The way the ball was moving around, tick, tock, it felt so pleasing to watch, and Gundogan was a big part of that, and Bernardo was a big part of that, and of course Foden and Mahrez both exceptional too. But I'm talking about those midfield three because they were up against 1.11 men, and you would never have known. City was still the better side when they had 10 men on the pitch. They were still moving the ball, moving the triangles absolutely wonderfully, and that was a masterclass, another M word for you there, of midfield marvelous. What's the word? I don't know. Magnificence, there we go. Masterclass of midfield magnificence. There's all the M's for you. The fourth thing I want to talk about, I've just sarcastically named it Pebbles, because Johnny Stones turned into Johnny Pebbles last night. It was a poor performance, unfortunately, for John Stones. I can't deny that. One thing I will say is, and I say this about everyone, and people will say, oh, you're harsh on Sterling. Actually, if you watch the videos back, I defend Sterling, but what I always say is I want fair criticism, and I want rational criticism, and I want the bigger picture to be considered. John Stones has had an excellent season. Of course, there's been lots of patches of dodgy form for John Stones since he joined Manchester City. He's up and down. But what he needs right now is a reminder of just how good he is, because it only benefits Manchester City. It only benefits you as a Manchester City fan if we don't double down on those mistakes. And Pebbles is just a joke, really. But what I will say is, John Stones, if he somehow watches this, you've been excellent this season, and a couple of mistakes. The red card I discussed last night, it was frustrating, but it happens. I think 10 years ago that probably wouldn't have been a red card. It would have been a yellow and a firm talking to, and VAR's changed the games, and I'm not defending him for it because it was a bad challenge, but the mistake early on, 20 seconds in, it can happen to the best in the world. This is not to excuse the performance, it's just to provide that I guess the perspective a little bit, and that hopefully it's just a one-off, but we need to see his reaction, because he's had a poor couple of weeks now. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say, but John Stones has got a little bit of credit in the bank, and I think he's earned that. And finally, I called it a City till I die, and I don't want to sound like a turncoat, and I don't want to sound hypocritical, though humans are inherently hypocritical. I'm sorry if you heard a bird tweeting away, by the way, in the background, or wood pigeons. That's the nature of filming videos outside in the countryside. It's lovely though. But finally, I've called it City till I die for a reason, because despite all the nonsense around Manchester City over the past few days, despite the greed exposed and that curtain being ripped back, and we've seen the ugly insides of football, one thing I know is that I care inherently about this club, and particularly the fans around it and the players and the manager, and they did us proud, and I am City till I die, and that I hope football doesn't evolve to a point, it's very close to a point where I can never watch Manchester City. I've got a guest in the video here as well, and do you have any words to say? Which one's this one? Is this Dizzy or Rascal? This is Rascal. Rascal is also a massive Manchester City fan. I've just decided, because Rascal can't really argue it, but I guess what I'm hoping is that football doesn't get to a point where stay away from the laptop, Rascal. I don't want any hairs on it. I've got a cat's arse on the video. Doesn't get to a point where I can't recognise anymore, because Manchester City will only ever be my club. I can't imagine a time when I'm not watching Manchester City or watching someone else. It isn't for me that. Manchester City are my everything, and I hope it stays that way, because they do mean absolutely everything to me. And last night, seeing Manchester City play football again was a reminder of what we could potentially lose. So for all those battles, they were worth it. They were absolutely worth it. And we need to make sure that we don't let football get to a point that is untenable, because it can't be, because it means too much for people like you, people like me, and those people who dedicate their lives to talking about Manchester City Football Club. Anyway guys, that is 5 things that I learned from that game. Thank you for your patience with this. I want to pass the, what is it, who's this one again?
This is Rascal.
Rascal, any final words, Rascal? Rascal? No, anything to say? The strong silent type there, clearly. But now though, we're going to go get to Cornwall, because we're in Somerset on the way down to Cornwall for a few days. There'll be no videos for the next few days, I reckon, until probably the Carabao Cup final, maybe a preview on Saturday morning. For now though, have a wonderful day. Go watch the match reaction from last night. Thank you so much to Elliot Wright and Andy Murphy, and my Patreon producer Ahmed Al Ali. Like, comment, subscribe. Life, it's not perfect, but it could be worse. Have a good day. Final thing I should add, there's a sheep over there. He's called Fudge. See you later.